By the way, that wasn't time travel. There were just a couple pizzas on the counter. I grabbed them.
Rick and Morty makes a point of avoiding time travel.
Time travel is a real shark jumper.
And that's why Rick's box of time travel stuff is literally on the shelf.
That's the joke, is that it's on the shelf.
Rick and Morty's aversion to this plot device might seem surprising, given that one of the show's biggest influences is the most iconic time travel movie ever.
Morty! You've got to come back with me!
Where?
Back to the future!
Morty, you gotta, come on. You gotta come with me.
What, Rick? What's going on?
I got a surprise for you,
It's the middle
Morty.
of the night.
Rick and Morty was born as the real animated adventures of Doc and Marty, and the central duo clearly descends from the unconventional partnership of Doc Brown and Marty McFly. The pilot even jokingly mentions time travel, but this is really a Back to the Future homage.
Not that you asked, Morty, but what just happened there is I went into a future dimension with such advanced medicine that they had broken leg serum at every corner drugstore.
I'm sure that in 1985, plutonium is available in every corner drugstore, but in 1955, it's a little hard to come by.
Time travel plays into a number of Rick and Morty's major influences.
Rick, Doctor Who in this mother.
While Rick and Morty treats time travel as a joke,
This is a totally unregistered cross-temporal asteroid.
if we look deeper at the symbolism of time travel and the thematic point that it's making in Back to the Future, we can see this movie's legacy very clearly in Rick and Morty. Both stories are ultimately about connecting with family and gaining greater perspective.
Listen, I gotta go, but I wanted to tell you that it's been educational.
So here's our take on how Rick and Morty carries on the heart and soul of the time travel story and its goal of giving us insight to see what really matters and what really doesn't.
Nothing you think matters matters.
This video is brought to you by Skillshare, a learning platform that offers thousands of online classes to fuel your creativity and career. Right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers 2 months access to all their classes for free. So click the link in the description below to sign up now. A kid in a family that's not relating to each other.
I get the standard lecture about how she never did that kind of stuff when she was a kid. I mean, look, I think the woman was born a nun.
Travels back in time and gains the perspective to see his parents as human beings.
You're so thin.
These strangers sharing the same blood learn to see each other and relate with respect.
Well, Marty, I want to thank you for all your good advice. I'll never forget it.
And back in the present, their lackluster reality is transformed into a model of domestic bliss. Rick and Morty is likewise speaking to the ways that family members struggle to relate. Vast gulfs develop between the people who are supposed to love each other most of all, in part due to the time and experiences that separate generations.
And also, knock next time, you know? I mean, I'm sitting in here, I'm 14. I got a computer in here, you know?
Oh, I think I understand.
As we see in today's boomer, millennial, and zoomer animosity, generational divides can seem so impenetrable that connecting with each other might as well require time travel.
Whoa, this is heavy.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Back to the Future made this literal when Marty had to meet his parents at his age to understand them. And the episode Big Trouble in Little Sanchez gives us a variation on this idea, when Rick's teenage clone allows his grandkids to connect with a younger, more open version of him.
So, is Tiny Rick your brother or cousin or...
No, my grandpa just transferred his consciousness into a clone of himself so he could be in our high school.
Rick is a more cynical, blunt version of Doc, but Doc did rip off a bunch of terrorists to steal plutonium.
They wanted me to build them a bomb, so I took their plutonium and in turn gave them a shiny bomb casing full of used pinball machine parts.
In the context of this wholesome American 1985 picture, he is a crazy, bordering on amoral adventurer.
About all that talk about screwing up future events, the space-time continuum.
Well, I figured. What the hell?
Doc's love story in Back to the Future Part 3 exposes the buried romantic underneath this clear-eyed, rational mind. Rick, too, has a secretly feeling side, and he makes Doc's cross-temporal romance look conservative when he falls for a collective hive mind. On the surface, Marty McFly obviously appears a lot cooler than Morty. Both dream of a future with a girl named Jessica or Jennifer.
I want to die with Jessica.
What happens to us in the future?
Both you and Jennifer turn out fine. It's your kids, Marty.
but Marty's girl Jennifer dotes on him, while Morty's crush Jessica is way out of his league.
Morty, stop being a creepy, perverted cyber stalker.
I'm not cyber stalking. I just wanted to know where she got this necklace from.
Over time, though, Morty's adventures with Rick make her notice him.
Wow. Did you just come into the cafeteria through a portal? You're Morty, right?
Yeah.
You could get his number later.
And really, in both iterations, what does make this character interesting is his weirdly close relationship with this much older and wiser eccentric scientist.
This so-called Dr. Brown is dangerous. He's a real nutcase. You hang around with him, you're going to end up in big trouble.
As impossible as it may seem without time travel, Rick and Morty demonstrate that cross-generational relationships and taking the effort to try to understand someone a lot older or younger than you can make you a far more nuanced human being. On their own, both Rick and Morty are fairly limited. Rick, representing the past, is dated, incorrect, unwilling to address his illness and toxic behavior. Morty, representing the future, is empty. He knows nothing and has nothing to offer but a ball of embarrassing teen impulses. But together, these two correct each other's faults and grow into so much more, just as the past and the future in conversation form a richer present. The main characters in Rick and Morty also mirror the arcs of the other family members in Back to the Future. Marty's dad, George McFly, has to learn self-respect.
Stand tall, boy. Have some respect for yourself. Don't you know if you let people walk over you now, they'll be walking over you for the rest of your life?
In the same way, Jerry also has to pull himself together to be more than the loser everyone sees when they look at him.
I started today disgusted and embarrassed to be your son. And then later I thought we were gonna die because you're a loser.
There's no more, is
Nope.
there?
Now quit f***ing up and let's go.
In our era, though, being a real man isn't just about being brave and strong against bullies.
No, Beth. You leave her alone.
It's also about developing thoughtfulness and sensitivity.
I want to hear you say it.
Look, I'm a closeted racist, and I'm sexist, and selfish, and I dragged us all into my sexist, racist, bad things because I'm stupid. Now you're gonna help me, right?
She just did.
Marty's mom, Lorraine, and Beth Smith both present two strikingly different selves. The unsatisfied, unhealthy version of Lorraine we first meet is a result of the timeline in which she falls for Marty's dad, George, because she pities him.
He seems so helpless. Like a little lost puppy. And my heart just went out to him. Yeah, Mom, we know. You've told us this story a million times. You felt sorry for him.
Pity draws Beth to marry Jerry, too.
She felt sorry for you. You act like prey, but you're a predator. You use pity to lure in your victims.
Both of these women are repressing important aspects of themselves in an effort to appear normal and nice. Lorraine is judgmental and prudish. She tells Marty good girls don't chase boys.
I think it's terrible. Girls chasing boys. When I was your age, I never chased a boy or called a boy or sat in a parked car with a boy.
While in the past, we see this is exactly what she's driven to do when she likes someone.
How did you know I was here?
I followed you. Marty, this may seem a little forward, but I was kind of wondering if you'd ask me to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance on Saturday.
Beth is pretending to be the nice, normal mom, when really, inside, she's a Rick.
And the ugly truth has always been
that I'm not that great a guy and you're exactly like me.
The healthy Lorraine at the end of Back to the Future Part 1 comes from the timeline in which she fell for George because he impressed her.
Are you okay?
Who is that guy?
That's George McFly.
The healthier Beth we see at the end of Season 3 fears she's a clone, just as Marty's mom is changed so much she seems like a different person. The happier Beth also feels love for her husband that's founded on respect.
This isn't the woman you married, Jerry. Because this woman loves you.
After Marty's interference in the past, his parents are deeply in love 30 years later. So both stories underline that, in order to have a healthy relationship, you have to cultivate an honest approach to life and respect for both yourselves and each other.
Dad, you can't talk to Jerry that way anymore. Now Jerry and I are happily married parents.
Like Marty's older sister Linda, Summer is modern and boy crazy. In their unhappy versions, both are desperate to meet a guy.
Then how am I supposed to ever meet anybody?
Summer?
He knows my name!
Thanks to time travel and adventures, they get more well-adjusted and luckier in love.
Which one was it, Greg or Craig?
I don't know. I can't keep up with all of your boyfriends.
Also, like Marty's older brother Dave, Summer vacillates between being an underwhelming average teen
I'm hideous!
Jeez, what's with her?
Teenage girl stuff.
and a sophisticated positive role model.
What are you wearing, Dave?
Marty, I always wear a suit to the office.
Listen to it, Tiny Rick. Feel what he's feeling.
In Back to the Future, these dual versions of each person are an either-or, whereas in Rick and Morty, the positive and negative variations coexist more within the same character. Jerry improves and then backslides, just as we do in our lives. Still, the same fundamental message comes through. We all have healthy and unhealthy iterations of ourselves within.
Where are the toxins? Are you listening, you stupid little garbage person?
And we determine which self wins out through our choices.
Your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has.
After spending a lot of time unpacking how the past rigidly determines the future,
If they can't dance, they can't kiss. If they can't kiss, they can't fall in love, and I'm history.
the Back to the Future trilogy emphasizes free will.
Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one.
Rick and Morty also subtly underlines this truth, and how Rick, for all his genius, can be in denial of it.
The only truly unapproachable concept for you is that it's your mind within your control. You chose to come here, you chose to talk, to belittle my vocation, just as you chose to become a pickle.
As daunting and overwhelming as existence is, we have agency to determine the kind of people we are.
Honey, your first novel.
Like I've always told you, you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
If you think about it, relationships with older and younger family members are a form of time travel, the only known version available to human beings. By getting to know the oldest members of our family, we carry on a past we never lived. By impacting the youngest members, we imprint something of ourselves onto the future, which will outlive us.
These aren't just old pictures, they're our family, and they're counting on us to remember them.
So you might say that love, passed down from our elders to our descendants, is the real time travel we take part in.
Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space.
The magic of deep past interacting with distant future goes some way in explaining the special connection between the two central characters in Rick and Morty. There's a unique bond between the oldest and the youngest member of a family because there's the most time between them. They're farthest away from each other in their perspectives. And this foreignness means each brings something novel and surprising to the other.
You know, Rick, when I first saw all those Ricks and Mortys, I thought, gee, that kind of devalues our bond. But then I realized it just means that our relationship must be pretty special to span over all those different timelines.
The way they complement each other on their two ends of the time spectrum is captured in the first episode of Season 4, when Rick and Morty each explore an opposite lesson about the best way to balance the present and future.
I guess I gotta learn how to live in the moment a little more.
I was living in the moment all day and it kept getting me killed by Nazis. I think you have to think ahead and live in the moment.
While the show may find traditional time travel too tired and messy,
Star Trek, Terminator, Time Cop, Time After Time, Quantum Leap, Wrinkle in Time, Somewhere in Time, Hot Tub Time Machine.
it carries on the zany, off-the-wall spirit of time travel classics through messing with time in other ways, like fracturing it to create hypothetical realities, or freezing it so the characters can clean up after a house party.
Well, how long do you guys want? A week? A month?
Can we start cleaning the house and see how we feel?
Worst movie ever.
Oh boy, what a waste of time.
We can see all of the classic time travel story lessons scattered throughout Rick and Morty too.
This is why you don't freeze time, you guys. It's incredibly irresponsible.
And you did it so we could clean the house after a party?
Look, there's no time to hold me accountable, Morty.
The most common reason for wanting to travel to the past is to fix something you wish had gone differently. So, at its core, the time travel movie is an expression of one of humankind's most haunting emotions: regret.
You're a man haunted by those two most terrible words. What if?
Rick may know enough not to do what some of these naive time travelers attempt, but there is a palpable regret in him, shaping and informing the decisions he makes in the present. We don't know exactly what is the source of Rick's past heartache. It could be the lost wife he conjures in his possibly fake origin story, repressed guilt over his failures as a parent,
I even abandoned one of my infinite daughters in an alternate version of Earth that was taken over by mutants.
or a Morty that he lost or wronged. Yet, the sense of futility that pervades his thought, and his constant assurances that nothing matters,
When you know nothing matters, the universe is yours.
fit with the mentality of a person who wishes his own past could be changed.
And you want to protect it from a universe that takes whatever it wants. It took my wife. It clearly took something from you.
Time travel stories can also be a means of hypothetical anthropological experiment and social commentary.
The Forbidden Zone was once a paradise. Your breed made a desert of it ages ago.
H.G. Wells' The Time Machine imagines inequality taken to such an extreme that class divides yield two separate species, and one eats the other. It's easy to see that Rick and Morty has this characteristic of the time travel story in spades, blowing open the format to include many, many more possibilities through the alternate realities of the multiverse.
You have a whole planet sitting around making your power for you? That's slavery!
It's society. They work for each other, Morty. They pay each other.
That just sounds like slavery with extra steps.
Some of the best Rick and Morty episodes have a knack for reflecting human society and mixing poignant observations in with the absurdity.
What happened?
Same old story. Morty's killing Mortys.
In the end, the time travel story is about stepping out of your limited, in-the-now point of view to see more deeply into the nature of our existence and what's important.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
And this space-time continuum bending perspective is exactly what Rick and Morty has to offer. The show's superpower is the way that it takes you out of your assumptions, looks at things sideways and all kinds of ways, and offers up possibilities you never considered.
Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's gonna die.
There is one form of time travel none of us can escape: the incessant forward motion of aging with the endpoint of death.
What is life? How can someone so talented die so young? What is being young? I'm not young, I'm old. I'm gonna die.
We change so much over the decades that we're not the same people. Beth's fear that she's not herself after she figures out how to be happy with her family captures the feeling of not recognizing yourself as you age.
If I were a clone, would you tell me?
Yet, so often, our minds want to move in the other direction. As the last line of The Great Gatsby puts it, so we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past.
He talked a lot about the past, as if he wanted to recover something.
We are all constantly living in both future and past, and plenty of other alternate timelines all at once.
We all have our time machines, don't we? Those that take us back, our memories, and those that carry us forward, a dream.
So, like Marty and Morty, the best thing we can do is realize this. Open our eyes to the bigger picture and all the timelines we're inhabiting. Then, after zooming out, we can zero in on what we care about, make choices, and take control of where we're going in the time we have left.
You think I want to be an omniscient, immortal being transcending time and space my whole life? I got ambitions, man.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare, an online learning community we love. With thousands of classes taught by seasoned pros, with Skillshare you can hone your creativity through a class on street photography, creative nonfiction writing, or character animation. You can learn to succeed in business with classes on how to build your Instagram following, create viral content, or manage your finances. You can master new technology through classes on website design and coding basics. You can even add some flavor to your lifestyle by learning to brew your own beer or bake your own bread. Or you can join 2019 Adobe Creative Resident Temi Coker to learn new Photoshop techniques and create your own digital poster. Right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers 2 months access to all their classes for free. Just click the link in the description below to check it out today.